Are you looking for a podcast where you can hear from real people regarding their real dental drama? If so, then you've come to the right place. Join hosts Bethany Petty and Dr. Rena Kuba as we dive into the solutions we've created and the mistakes we've made while managing dental drama. Let's get started.
I cannot believe that we are nearing the end of summer. Where has it gone? I tend to come to the end of summer with a lot of reflection. You'll begin to realize that I'm a very reflective person, but the end of summer marks a real reflective time for me because I love summer. I work all through the summer, so I don't necessarily take any significant breaks, but I love that every time I'm home, my kids and my husband are home, and so it's just a lot of family time, and I absolutely love just the calm of summer. And recently I was lecturing one of my kids again on this subject matter and just went through this same subject with a fantastic team that I've been able to work with for many years. And sometimes we just need to be reminded of this message. So I'm calling today's episode A Matter of Perspective. To me, perspective is one of the most fascinating things that we can study. One of my favorite ways to think about perspective is to look up these kind of funky photos. I'm going to actually copy a link in today's show notes to some of my favorite funky photos. It's like the top 18 that you look at something and it takes your breath away immediately because you're like, that cannot be the real picture. And as you look closer, you realize it's the camera angle, or it's the fact that the shorts blended in with the water and made the man look legless, or it's just kind of these weird eye-catching type photos that catch you off guard. And I always love to talk to my kids and to teams about if you were to just take that picture and have the photographer step 2 feet to the left or 2 feet to the right, or angle the camera up or down, or put the flash on or take the flash off, that all of those little tiny tweaks would give you a completely different perspective and a completely different vantage point. And at that point, the picture would be completely normalized. There would be nothing jaw-dropping or weird about it. It was so funny. I got home from a work trip recently and got in the middle of the night, woke up the next morning, and my little girl was on the porch couch, and I came out to the porch and sat down and was just snuggling with her. She was on my lap, and I just glanced down and realized we had the exact same pajama pants on, same pattern and everything. And the way that I was sitting, her leg was kind of draped over my leg, but it looked like she had this really gigantic leg and this really gigantic foot. So I had my daughter snap a picture, and we talked about perspective because all the kids were like, oh my gosh, look at Aslan's legs. Like, that's so weird. And I'm like, isn't that weird? And it's all the angle of the camera. She obviously doesn't have that long leg, but she looks like she has that long leg because we're wearing the same pants, and the way my foot was at the end of her little leg, it just looked funny. And so in this act of taking a different vantage point, taking a different perspective, I want to really encourage all of us to practice this in just our everyday life. Sometimes I think we come into a situation, into a conversation, into an evaluation of a patient or a coworker with just our vantage point and none other. We can only see it this one way. And in our minds, it's the right way, and it's the only way. And what I've learned in life is that there's always a different way to look at things. So, let me give you a few examples. We can look at our teammate that somehow has forgotten that she needs to take her own trash out at the end of the day. And we can look at that teammate and go, gosh, she is so lazy. She never takes her trash out at the end of the day. I'm always having to grab it for her. What a lazy lady. We'll keep it G-rated here. So that is one vantage point. And yes, maybe that young lady on your team is lazy. That's a possibility. That's a perspective that we can choose to take. But what if we took 2 steps to the left or 2 steps to the right and tried to see it from a different angle? What if every day this young lady has been working all day to fill the schedule for hygiene, and she's gotten to the end of the day and it's still not filled? And so instead of pausing on her efforts and taking the trash out because she knows that that's going to be part of her end-of-day duties, maybe instead she knows she can place 3 more phone calls and have a chance of filling that hygiene schedule. Maybe she's not being lazy. Maybe she's being smart with her time. Let's take it from a slightly different vantage point. Let's take it from the human side of things and go, I realized that when we brought this young lady on board, we never told her that everybody takes their own trash out at the end of the day. That's never been communicated to her. She's not lazy. She may be thinking that it's somebody else's responsibility, or maybe that we have a cleaning crew that comes and takes out the trash. How would she know that it's her responsibility? Okay, so that's a different vantage point. Maybe we take it to a personal side of things and we go, she has mentioned that she has not only 2 little ones, but she's also got an ailing mother. I wonder if she's having to run out at the end of the day to go and grab her girls and then go to take care of her sick mother. Maybe that's why she's not taking out the trash. You can see how there are multiple ways of viewing a situation. And we can go in and just assume that our way is the right way, or we can pause and go, let me move this camera angle around multiple ways and see all the reasons why she might be leaving her trash at the end of the day. Now, it doesn't mean that we just chalk it up to one of those reasons and then just we're always taking out the trash. No, we need to have a gentle conversation where we go, hey, I don't know if you ever were made aware of this, but everybody takes their own trash out at the end of the day. Hey, if you ever need help, you just let me know. I'll be happy to take it for you. But I just wanted to make sure you knew kind of the expectations. So we can still set expectations and have a conversation that clues this person in to what the expectations are. But it doesn't mean that we spend weeks being frustrated about the fact that she never takes her trash out. It means instead of chewing on the same vantage point, the same perspective over and over and over again, we pause and we intentionally try to see it from other angles. If any of you are in a serious relationship, I bet you do this quite often. Either that or you argue a whole heck of a lot. So my husband and I, we are absolute and complete opposites. And I can't tell you how many times we have to pause and say, hey, you're speaking at it from this perspective. I'm speaking at it from this perspective. Can you see how we're not talking about the same thing? Or you said these exact words, but what you're telling me now is you meant this instead. Is that accurate? So rather than digging heels in and just choosing to only believe it the way that we want to believe the message or the conversation or the action, we instead should take time to consider alternate perspectives. Now, I think this goes a long way in teamwork, but I also think this goes a very long way in our patient care. I can't tell you how many times, and I get it, we have a hard job. We are caretaking for patients all day long. Some of them nice, many of them not nice. The world has certainly become a place that's a little bit grouchier, and that's understandable. We get tired. We wear thin in our caretaking abilities with grouchy or ungrateful patients. So I totally get that. But sometimes what I think we do is that we cast our perspective onto a patient in a negative way. So we do this when we see a notoriously cranky patient on the schedule for the day. We might go about it going, oh, Sherry at the front, Sherry, why did you put that cranky patient on our schedule today? We already have this other cranky patient. Sherry, you have doomed us for today. So we're giving Sherry, the what to. And Sherry, you messed up by putting this cranky patient on the schedule day. So now we've got a perspective about Sherry, that she just was so airheaded that she didn't realize we had another cranky patient on the day. And then we take our assumptions into morning huddle and we go, oh, we got cranky pants number 2 today. Anybody remember the last time he was here? Gosh, he gave me such a lip about this and that and left us a negative review, and he's just cranky, right? So we take that perspective into morning huddle. And then the whole team is expecting Mr. Cranky Pants to show up. Cranky Pants shows up, and even if he showed up in a good mood, the way that we were acting towards him would have said, we expect you to be in a bad mood. And we would have potentially cast that perspective onto him. Now, we can choose to pull back and think of a few things that could justify Mr. Cranky Pants' behavior. We can go, hey, maybe it's something as simple as, he doesn't hear very well. And I've noticed when I talk softly, he gets agitated. Maybe it's that he can't hear me and he's embarrassed to say that. Okay, that's one perspective. Maybe we take and we go, Mr. Cranky Pants, man, I wonder what happened. He used to be so nice. I remember his last hygiene visit and he was just joking and carrying on. What could have happened in the last 6 months that made Mr. Cranky Pants Mr. Cranky Pants? And our mind can take us to multiple scenarios. Maybe he got a health diagnosis. Maybe his wife is sick. Maybe he lost a grandchild. Maybe he realized that his retirement took such a hit that he's going to have to go pick up hours at Walmart. Who knows? But there could very well be a reason that Mr. Cranky Pants has grown in crankiness over the last 6 months, if we're willing to slow down and take that perspective. Now, I also want to tell you that I see this playing out quite a bit amongst team members. I think this is where it impacts us the most, because we have the ability to chart the course for a positive day where we can all leave feeling good about what we've done and what we've accomplished. We can leave the day feeling good about one another, or we can choose to insert negative perspectives all throughout the day. We could say something like, man, why does our office manager keep questioning me about this email? I already told her that I sent the email. Why does she keep following up about it? Maybe instead we go, there's got to be a reason she keeps asking about this email. I wonder if she's worried about what I said to this particular patient. Maybe I should share my email response with her. Or maybe she knows something about this situation that I don't know about. So she keeps asking me about this email that I was supposed to send. She must know something. This must be significant. And that's why she keeps asking. I need to make sure that I prioritize that today. Or it could mean, man, our office manager is a little extra questioning these last couple weeks. Wonder what's going on in her life that could make her a little extra these last couple of weeks. Right? So we are quick to just immediately assume the worst, and that is our vantage point. That is our perspective, and nothing that anybody can say can sway us from that. We owe it to ourselves to choose a different vantage point. I told this to this amazing team that I was just talking with a few days ago, and I said something similar to this. It only hurts us more individually, personally. It hurts us more to assume the negative vantage point, to assume that something is wrong. It helps us in our mood, in our health, in the way that we approach the day. It actually physically helps us to choose a more positive vantage point or a positive perspective. But what's awesome is it also helps those around us. When we choose a negative vantage point, it is sometimes so tangible that you can't walk into a room without feeling it or sensing it. If we choose a positive vantage point or a positive assumption or perspective, it breathes life into our coworkers, into our boss, and into the patient's. So the vantage point that is negative in its assumption negatively impacts everybody, including ourselves. The vantage point that is positive positively impacts everybody, including our patients. So I want to challenge you today. I want you to take a look at your team members, your boss, your patients. Heck, I could tell you to just challenge yourself personally, your spouse, your children, your parents. Let your imagination go, and I want you to really think about where you are choosing to assume a negative perspective with all of those situations. Where do you tend to verbalize the negative or unintentionally speak that negative vantage point over the situation? I would ask you today to identify all of those with your team, your boss, your patients, your family. I want you to choose, where am I assuming that negative perspective, and what can I do to turn it around and see things differently? I think the work that you put into this mentally today, this week, however long it takes to get through this, the work that you put into this could be incredibly eye-opening and impactful, not only to those around you, but to you and the way that you feel and the way that you conduct your mind and your energy throughout the day. So this is a worthwhile activity. I would challenge you to go and look at the funny pictures that I'm going to put in the show notes for today, to go for some inspiration on what does she mean by a different vantage point. Any one of those, there's 18 pictures in this post that I'll put up. Any one of those 18 pictures, if you just imagine the camera being moved slightly, you'll realize that it's a completely different picture, and it normalizes. So I want to challenge you on that little activity to go and do that, and then allow your mind to think about all the areas where your vantage point needs to change. I know you can do it. So I'd encourage you to go and do it. And by the way, don't forget, this is our last week of July content. So if you are looking for some amazing team building tips, perspective taking, you got to go sign up. I would encourage a level 2 subscription. It is called a prescription. Do yourself a favor. Go get the subscription. You're not going to be disappointed in the content that you have there. You've only got this week to get it. So go grab that. Y'all have a fantastic week. I cannot wait to hear all about the different perspectives that you've developed.
Thanks for joining the conversation today. We hope that you are comforted in knowing that you are not alone, but we also hope that you're walking away with some really great tips and tricks to try in your practice. We value your feedback, so please take a few moments to rate and review the podcast. Finally, we want to make sure that we're covering the topics that matter to you. So track us down on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and let us know what topics you want us to cover. As always, please know that we are rooting for you today as you manage your dental drama.